Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Immigration Q&A International Student Updates. My name is Sophia, and I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant who serves as an international student advisor immigration specialist at Simon Fraser University's International Services for Students office. Today, I will be facilitating our Q&A session and answering any questions that you may have. I'm also joined by my wonderful colleague, Karen, who is our Associate Director for International and Newcomer Student Support, and who is also a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. She will be helping us in moderating our Q&A portion later on. Given the current context here in Canada, it is more important than ever to acknowledge the land that we are on. As visitors on this land, we have an important responsibility to acknowledge the unceded grounds on which we are all privileged to gather in the pursuit of higher education. And so I'd like to begin by respectfully acknowledging the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Katsi, Coquitlam, Kikite, Kwantlen, Semiahmoo, and Tawasan peoples in whose traditional territories our three SFU campuses reside. Moving on to our agenda and format for today, I will begin by providing a brief introduction to the International Services for Students Office and how to contact an international student advisor. We will then move on to address 5 key updates announced recently by the Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, or IRCC. And then we will proceed and take questions from you and answer as many questions as we can. As a reminder, when registering for today's session, we asked students to complete some preliminary tasks. The tasks included reviewing the web pages from IRCC regarding these new announcements. These resources were all linked from the workshop registration page, and it is our hope that by completing those tasks in advance of today's session, we can now use our time to engage with you and answer some frequently asked questions and spend less time presenting at you. Shortly after our presentation today, we will be uploading the recording and a copy of our PowerPoint slides in our office's events page. As international student advisors, we are part of the International Services for Students, or ISS office at SFU. At ISS, we offer non-academic advising and services to help support students from international pathways. You can see a list of what we offer on this slide. When I say we offer non-academic advising, I'm talking about your temporary resident status and documents as international students in Canada. Our team of immigration specialists are licensed to provide advice on your study permit, visa, post-graduation work permit, on and off-campus work regulations, and more. In addition, our team offers advice on medical insurance in Canada, like BC MSP. You can connect with an international student advisor in many ways. We offer advising in person, virtual methods, which includes email, live chat, and drop-in or booked appointments, which we conduct via Zoom or in person, depending on your preference and comfort level. We also recommend students to consult our website, which houses a library of immigration and medical insurance instruction guides that we have cultivated with our students in mind. Now, as we move on into the IRCC updates, I'll just draw your attention to the disclaimer on each of my slides. In the context of post-COVID-19 and other global events, immigration policy continues to change rapidly and without notice. The information that we share today is current as of today, which for those of you who are watching, the recording is April 4, 2024. So today we will be covering 5 key topics on new updates for international students announced by IRCC, namely the letter of acceptance and confirmation of enrollment letter verification, the new financial requirements for study permit applications, the off-campus work authorization, some temporary measures on post-graduation work permit, and the January 22, 2024 announcement. Let's dive more into each of these. First up, on October 27, 2023, IRCC announced that starting December 1, 2023, IRCC will now require designated learning institutions, or DLIs, including SFU, to verify all letters of acceptance and confirmation of enrollment letters submitted by applicants applying for either new study permits and study permit extension applications. This new enhanced verification process aims to protect students from fraud and to help them avoid similar problems that some students faced in the past year as a result of fraud investigations. It will also ensure that study permits and extensions are based only on genuine letters. Next up, on December 7, 2023, IRCC announced that the cost of living financial requirement for study permit applicants will be raised so that international students are financially better prepared for life in Canada. Starting January 1st, 2024, a single applicant needs to show that they have at least $20,635 for their cost of living in Canada, in addition to their first year of tuition fees and travel expenses. Moving on, some of you may remember that on October 7, 2022, IRCC announced that from November 15, 2022 until December 31, 2023, certain eligible international students who are in Canada and who have off-campus work authorization on their study permits were not restricted by the 20-hour per week rule. On December 7, 2023, this temporary public policy waiving the 20-hour per week limit on the number of hours certain eligible international students are allowed to work off campus was extended to April 30, 2024. As of today, we have not heard about any further extensions of the temporary public policy. Thus, this policy is still set to expire on April 30, 2024 until further notice. I also wanted to mention the temporary measures implemented by IRCC as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in relation to distance learning. To give you some context, under the normal circumstances, all distance learning courses completed outside Canada are excluded from time accumulated toward the length of the PGWP, and 50% of a student's courses must be completed in Canada and in person. As a response to the pandemic, however, IRCC introduced some temporary changes to this requirement, and this has happened in 2 stages: the full facilitation measures and reduced facilitation measures. Under the full facilitation measures, this applies to students who were enrolled in PGWP eligible programs in March 2020, or those who started a program between March 2020 and August 31, 2022. This group of students is not required to complete 50% of their program of study in Canada, and up to 100% of their program can be completed online from outside Canada. Up until December 31, 2023, the time spent studying outside of Canada can be counted toward the overall length of the PGWP. Under the reduced facilitation measures, this applies to students who started their study program between September 1, 2022 and December 31, 2023. This group of students is required to complete at least 50% of their program of study in Canada. Up until December 31, 2023, the time spent studying outside of Canada will be counted toward the overall length of the PGWP, only if it constitutes less than 50% of the study program. IRCC's recent update on this focuses on the reduced measures. As of December 7, 2023, the reduced measures have been extended until August 31, 2024, which basically means that students must complete at least 50% of their program of study inside Canada, online or in class. The time spent studying online from outside of Canada before August 31, 2024 will count toward the length of your PGWP as long as it constitutes less than 50% of your program of study. Now, let's talk about the January 22, 2024 announcement. These recently announced reforms will support sustainable population growth in Canada and improve system integrity, while helping to ensure that international students have a positive experience in Canada. This actually has a lot of subtopics, but here are three main points that impact our current students. With the first one being the intake cap on international study permit applications was set by IRCC to stabilize new growth for a period of 2 years. And in the spirit of fairness, individual, provincial, and territorial caps have also been established, weighted by population. As a result, provincial attestation letters, or PAL, are now required for certain students. We will talk more about who requires it and those who are exempt in my next slide. Previously, master's programs that are less than 2 years will only translate to a post-graduation work permit that follows the normal duration of the program. Starting February 15, 2024, a 3-year post-graduation work permit will be available to those who are graduating from a master's degree program that is less than 2 years, and of course, who meet all other PGWP eligibility criteria. I personally believe that this is most beneficial for those master's programs that are 1 year in duration. Lastly, the eligibility for open work permits for spouses and common law partners of international students has been updated starting March 19, 2024. It is now only limited to spouses or common law partners of graduate or professional degree granting programs only. I'll show you a list of the eligible programs in the next few slides. As promised, let's talk about the provincial attestation letters. So who needs a provincial attestation letter? You'll see here that most post-secondary study permit applicants and non-degree students would require it. Who doesn't need a provincial attestation letter? You'll see below that primary, secondary, and graduate level students, including master's and doctorate students, do not require a PAL. If you are in Canada as a visiting research student, or for those of you who are applying for a study permit extension, you also won't require a PAL. All right, so now let's move on to the list of eligible programs for open work permits of spouses or common law partners of international students. As mentioned, only graduate level programs, including master's and doctorate degrees, will qualify, along with professional degree granting programs. IRCC has actually included a specific list of what professional degree granting program means. I'll give you some time to read through it. All right, and with that, we have come to the end of our presentation. We will now move on to our question and answer portion, and I will end the recording in a moment. So for those of you who are watching the recording, thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you in a future workshop or in a one-on-one advising.